Howdy y'all, Rob from Tech Gaming here, and basically I got some sad news. The Bazzite Beast, the motherboard, had indeed died. Apparently when the power supply went, it took the motherboard with it. But on the flip side, I found a replacement motherboard for it, 20 bucks on eBay, and seller says it's in working condition. The seller has good ratings, so I'm going to make a video of me swapping out the motherboard and testing it, and we will go from there. Anyways, let's get it going, shall we? And here's, of course, the Bazzite Beast itself and the original motherboard in there. And there's the replacement, along with the 700 watt power supply. I've tested the GPU. The GPU seems to be working just fine. It didn't get zapped. I'm hoping the CPU didn't get zapped, because all I have to replace it with is an i5 of the same generation, and that would be quite sucky by comparison, because that i7 has been pretty sweet. And in fact, I would say that a lot of the i7s do really well past their expiration date. It's a shame that they're pushing Windows 11 on us, isn't it? Alrighty, where is my screwdriver? First, we begin by the simple stuff. We unplug all the excess stuff here. Come on off, Heather. Come on, let go. There we go. I don't think that was supposed to come out, but that doesn't matter. This board's done anyways. Yeah, you gotta be careful about stuff like that whenever you're doing maintenance on these things. These old boards, these plastic pieces are brittle, and they'll just pop right off sometimes. Remove the RAM. All 24 gigs mixed. Alrighty, come on out of there. Pull these cables. Oh, come on out of there. I do love how the front panel and speakers and everything are all kind of separated on the board, like that. This right here. Power switch is up here for some reason. Oh yeah, my hard drive needs to come out of there too. Hey, you put the hard drive wherever you can this thing, especially since there's no drive cages anymore. I had to remove those to make the graphics card actually fit comfortably in here. Alright. Pull this CPU and piece out. Yeah, that one came out like it was supposed to, dang it. Alrighty. And there will be cleanup involved, of course, naturally. I've always said that I do not like old computer components going in landfills. This machine probably would have wound up in a landfill if not for me, because the school that it was in had closed, unfortunately, and all funding was pretty much done. Alright, and we got a little better lighting now. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned off as best I can using this alcohol soaked pad paper. Alright, that's nice and good. Do the same for the CPU cooler. Alright. As I said, that's a nice clean looking CPU now. Fresh and ready for the new board. Let's go ahead and pop this out. As I said, I hope this CPU is fine. In fact, let's make sure for any signs of burning or damage. There might be some signs of damage right there and right there. I don't know if you can see it in this lighting on this camera, but yeah, that's not looking too good. Huh. Oh shoot. I'm gonna try cleaning it off real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, I took a moment to clean the CPU off, and some of those blemishes came up. They look, I guess they were spots from maybe some thermal paste getting on it. Always a good idea, by the way, never throw these clamshells out. They will hold any CPU big enough for them. And just whenever you're not, whenever they're not in a computer, put them in this. You should be good to go. That's an AM4. That's an AM4 one, but anyways, it'll do the job. That's all that matters, is it will do the job. And let's get that back. There we go. Yeah. All right, now let's get this all unscrewed. I'm still going to use this case fan, so I ain't worried about that so much. Where did I put my screwdriver? And here we go. This is probably the easiest part, is just the removal of the board, since all the standoffs are built into the case anyways. I'll use every single screw too. Come on, you. Oh, the angle is terrible. One of these days I'll buy an electric screwdriver and make it so much faster. But for now, this is how I do it. Oh, one more screw. God damn it. Oh, there's one more screw. Oh, fucking up there. God, I hate how tough these are. Well, it's still fine. Whew. God, the force I had to use to get that off, though. Damn. And here comes the new board. Some people are scared to death to do something like this. I remember once upon a time being quite frightened to do anything building computers. And I tear them apart regularly. Alright, now to put all the screws back in. Get all the hard ones first. I will always remember this story of a guy. This actually happened. That's the sad part. But you'd think it was a joke punchline. It was kind of a joke, all right. But anyways, this guy gets a message on his computer telling him he needs to clean it. Well, he cleans it, brings it to the computer technician. The computer technician is basically like, all right, so you cleaned it and now it will not start. It will not turn on. He goes like, yep. The technician plugs it in. Sure enough, there's no power, right? So He starts trying to diagnose. He goes in, opens the computer, and notices that all the capacitors, all the bits and pieces had been pretty much scrubbed off the board. And he could smell Scotchgard. He goes, "What did you do?" He goes, like, "I cleaned my computer and I used Scotchgard, sir." So let that be a lesson. Don't ever take what your computer tells you to do literally. Some of these jokes, it's sad that some of these jokes are a reality. But if anybody's been paying attention to the world we currently live in, it should not be a surprise. I'll always remember the first computer I ever killed, too. My own stupidity on that. At the time, I didn't know what thermal paste was. I didn't know that you were supposed to put it on the CPU. It was a brand new first computer build that I ever did. And my dumbass did zero research, just figured it out as I went using instructions. And they didn't expect people to not know to put thermal paste on the computer. It was a Celeron. Ironically, I think it was also a 1155 build too. No, it was older than that. It was before, I want to say before the Core series. Pentium 4 was like the biggest thing at the time. Remove. There we go. Pop that out. There. No bent pins that I can see. Good. That was one concern I had with this board, was potentially bent pins. I mean, I bought it on the cheap, but from the age of this process, this board, you know, and the computer, you know, I'm hopeful it'll all just work. All right. That's installed. Let's get a little thermal paste going. Where's my plunger? There it is. As for my theories as to what killed this board, well, I will admit that I did not have the best surge protector on it. And you've got to take better care of older equipment in particular. They're not as guarded against power surges as modern boards are. Crap, I need a little more. If you're wondering, this is how I get my thermal paste. Okay. That should be enough. That should be more than enough right there. Yeah, I have basically the Chinese version of MX5. QM850 is what they call it. Okay, moving upwards, onwards, and slightly to the left. Time to put the cooler back on. All right, there we go. Maybe I'm spoilt rotten on modern hardware a little bit, but I miss the good old days in the same respect. And you always want to do it crisscross. You don't want to tighten one side at the expense of the others and have it off kilter. You're going to be playing hell trying to get one corner of it to go down, because all the pressure will be fighting you. Here we go. Come on. And you'll feel like you're screwing forever sometimes with this. But then all of a sudden you'll be done before you even know it. Like that. And we're finished with that. Now to connect everything back up. Luckily, thankfully, everything's keyed, so you don't have to just figure it out. I do love how these systems came with full functioning monotone speakers. Something you just don't see in systems anymore is just a built-in speaker. Oh, get in there. There we go. Alright. Now to get the power supply in. Alright, and now we're installing the power supply. Thankfully, I didn't have that 850 watt power supply I initially put in here. That went into my wife's computer, because she needed more beef since I put a 6800 XT in her machine. Needed much more juice. I had a 650 watt power supply. It was a Cooler Master. And unfortunately, that one died. But no big loss. I didn't spend like a ton of money on it or anything. This Rosewell, though, on the other hand, is a really nice one. In fact, I still haven't even peeled the tape off. We're going to do this one-handed. Like so. You connect. You got to make sure that these two arrows are locked together, and you have it set where it'll catch on that little latch here, like so. Then get it off the board. Cable management, and this is always going to be a pain in the ass no matter what I do, but is what it is. Get the hell in there. That way you're out of my way a little better. And we won't be using the front side USB because it blocks the graphics card whenever I put it in. So we just won't have front side USB. I can get expansion cards if I need them, but actually I severely doubt I'm going to be able to do that. So, but I don't plan on putting a whole bunch of I/O and crap on this, so there is that. Hook that up. Where is my CPU connector? I think this is it. And just like that, you'll only use one of these for this. So I would recommend using the one furthest in so you can hide this one better. And there's a little lip right there. You'll want to make sure that one, I'm not blocking the light. There we go. And if you connected it correctly, it should look like that. Sorry for all the blurriness there. Get in there. Alright. Got those two important things connected. Now, I could fire it up without RAM, but you know, well, that's just not cool. So, we'll start with the biggest RAM stick first. And I always put these two like this because I think they're of a similar set. Oh, let's do that. Yeah, that's a lot better. The only reason I'm going with mixed RAM is I don't have much in the way of DDR3 floating around anymore. So I have to make do with what I have. Maybe I'll come back and revisit this with matched RAM one day and see what the difference is. But this system's old enough to where it was more the quantity of the RAM, not really necessarily the quality of the RAM that mattered. Alright. Now to install this, and wouldn't you know it, I have my retention clip in here. This one. Alright. That'll take care of that. Put one of these screws in real quick. I set that screwdriver sat down. There it is. Okay, and where's my other one? Doesn't really matter if they match. As I said, this is an antique machine. The graphics card is probably overpowered for it, but you know, what are you gonna do? Okay. Now where are my 6 pins? There they are. Fortunately, my only option with this is to run 6 pins on a single rail. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. Again, I tried to be, oh crap, let me reconnect these two one-handed. Problem with these is, especially doing this one-handed, you have to make sure that these two latch up just right, like so, and then stick them in. Stick them in. There we go. That's one. And the other one's just a regular 6-pin. Like so. It looks like crap. It's jank as shit, but it'll do the job. Now for the drive cables. Where did I put those? Should only be 2 of them. And already we've made one critical mistake. I forgot to hook up the drive cables before I did this. Be right back. Alright, now that these are ran, both of them, you'll see one's going to have to be for the SATA in here. But anyways, now that this has been ran, I did promise an upgrade for this thing. This Blu-ray drive. Now, you'll need 1 runner on this side and 2 runners on this side. And I'll show you why. Because the way this is set up is you need both the screws on this side, but only 1 screw on this side because of how that is. Right there. Alright, so that's done. Take this one, put it in. One moment. Stand up. Be proud of yourself. Stick it in here like so. And poof. Just like that. Of course, you'll want to rock it forward a little bit to be able to plug in your connectors to it. Since I think this is going to be on SATA 0. And yeah. In fact, hold on. Best way to do this, really and truly, is to go through the computer without your watch and stuff on and hook it up like so. Make sure it's facing the right direction, because it is keyed as to how it connects to the thing. Where is it? There's my power cable. Feed that through. Okay. Connect it up the same way. Make sure that the bracket is where it needs to be. Poof. And you're done with that. It's only mildly annoying. The fun one to hook up is going to be that SATA drive, although it's going to be floating freely in the system. The one cool thing with SATA drives is there's no moving mechanical parts. They can take a bit of a beating. They're very tough. You don't really have to worry about much. Okay, and you just take it like so. Connect it right here. Again, just like before, you got to make sure the teeth are in the right position. And then this connector. And just sit it right there. You can fire and forget with it. So reconnect the face. It's not quite right. Got to make sure all those little legs go into their holes. Oh, get in there. There we go. And that is a perfectly flat face. I even kind of like how that lip kind of matches how it fits. Alright, now with everything hooked up, I just got to do a little bit of cable managing and hook it up and see if she works. That's the next part. As for you. Alright, y'all. Moment of truth. See if this thing will fire up. Okay. Booting into Bazzite now. We'll see what the system information tells me. Over here. I've got to get this side of the garage cleaned up. All right. Alright, everything seems to be working now. Alright, well, let's see. Alright, we'll just play some good old Doom. Hot diggity damn, here we go. Everything seems to be working fine. All right, let's go. Uh-huh. God, I love Streets of Rage. And just like that, she's back up and running again. Well, that's about all the time I got for this video. Hope you all found something at least enlightening and useful about it. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like, don't like, all that stuff. And y'all have a wonderful day. And hey, if you ain't having fun, you ain't doing it right. Take care.